Welcome to Unlocked. I'm Dr. Joel Swakowski. In this show, we explore how truth comes to life through real stories and real people. And do I have some real people for you today? People, yes, plural. Erik and Patty Dempsey are joining me today to tell one of their favorite stories and a very, very interesting and compelling story for you all to hear as well. Their marriage story, and it is quite the banger. So let's dive in. Hello, Patty and Erik. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
We are very excited. I'm excited, a little nervous, but I'm excited. This is one of my favorite stories to tell.
Yeah? What story?
Oh, yeah. Wait. I guess we'll have to wait and see it. See, I just jump ahead. This is how fast we go. You'll hear
Oh,
more
yeah.
about that in our story, how fast we go.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to hear your guys' story. Yeah, that's why I'm having you on. That's why I wanted you on the show. I've heard parts of it, just getting to know you two over the years, and that's how I know you is you two are pillars in the community that we're all part of, the church community, and pillars of leaders and have made a big impact on the people that we all hold dear. And your story is just one that's incredible and has helped so many people, not just people who are married, but individuals, just women and men and everybody who comes in your path. So I wanted the Unlocked audience to get a little bit of the Dempsey magic. So thank you for being on the show. And wait, so how long have you two been married?
30 years.
30
Oh my
years this
Lord.
year. Yeah.
Patty, you don't look old enough to be married that long.
It's so funny. Like we literally
If I do this?
yeah. We went to a restaurant recently and someone commented on my ring and I'm like, yeah, I was married for, this is for 25 years. And she's like, oh, so did you get married at 5 years old? I'm like, you're a good
Yeah.
server. You know how to get better tips.
Yeah,
Exactly.
big tip for that one for sure.
Good.
Great. Well, you two are sweet. You're so fun too, but so powerful as well. So yeah, we want to hear the story. So can you bring us back to as far as you want? How'd you guys meet, or what was the beginning of what is now, what'd you say, 32 years of marriage?
30 years
30
of
years.
marriage.
30 years. Yeah.
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 So what's that journey been?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's this is so fun. Like Betty said,
Mhm.
this is something that we've enjoyed, talking about. People have been asking us more about our story and in our community, like you said. And so first of all, of course, I need to say I'm loving being on the Dr. J Unlocked. So thank you for having us.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
favorite podcast.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah,
um,
my pleasure.
And I just want to say too, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share because as we do share our story, I'm thankful that I now can be happy to share because there was definitely seasons of our life where I kept things hidden because it was hard to talk about some things and I was like embarrassed and afraid of what people would think by sharing some parts of our story. So I'm excited to be able to share it and be happy to share it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What quite the measure of repair too, isn't
Yeah.
it?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
So our story begins in 1991.
All right.
Really, so the first time that I saw Patty, she doesn't even remember this, was at I think it was like January of 91. There was a lock-in where all of the youth groups in the area had gotten together and did a lock-in at the YMCA. And so I went down with my buddies to go play volleyball, and there was this beautiful young woman there playing volleyball, but she was in t-shirt and shorts and she was good at volleyball. She played really well. Didn't seem to care that she was sweaty or anything. It was like, oh, who is that? I need to know. I need to know who that is. So
Sounds fierce. Yeah.
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 It was like she was very, and that was Patty, obviously. And so she was just so different than the other girls and young women that were in our youth group and in our community at the time. The fact that she was willing to play, it was like, oh, I want to get to know her. So through some mutual friends, got her phone number, but it took me about 5 months to get up the courage to call her.
Well, these
So
aren't the days where you could just send a text message.
right,
No,
nope,
In
no.
fact,
there was
you
no text.
probably had to call her parents' house, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
on a corded phone,
Yep,
yeah,
landline.
yeah.
that's right.
So I'm gonna give you some mercy there, Eric.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
Well,
yeah.
and that's the thing. So on July 5th, 1991, I remember the day because on July 4th of that, the day before, all of us in our youth group, because that was kind of our group, had gotten together for a 4th of July party, and Patty wasn't there. And so this was I felt like I had the cause, or I had a reason now to call her. And so I did. I finally got up the guts to call her, and of course, my worst fear occurred when her dad was the
Oh,
one who answered the phone.
yeah, of course, right? Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind too, not only is this corded phone and not text, there's no caller ID at this point, so it's just, hello, and I go,
Well, yeah.
hello, is Patty there? And it's, yes, but who's this? And I'm like, this is Erik Dempsey. I go to church with her. All right, Patty. And so then, and so
Not
then,
so bad then, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, and so it was like, in those 5 minutes, losing 3 or 4 pounds of sweat, but
Oh
then,
yeah.
and talking to Patty for the first time on the phone. We had interactions at youth group prior to that, so she knew who I was and stuff, but um, so it was cool just to have that conversation on the phone and talk and find out. I don't think it was very long.
No, it wasn't very long, but he was the first boy that ever called me. I had
Ooh,
never had
that's
someone
special.
call me before. So it stood out to me that he took the risk to call me and
Yeah.
just find out where I was and just took time to just hear about what I did for 4th of July. And so he won some major points that day to be able to do that.
Yes.
That's incredible. Yeah, still, yes. That's why it's so fun to hear the story from the both of you, isn't it? Oh, it's so sweet.
Mhm.
All right, so yeah, this is how old were you two at this point?
16.
16.
Sweet.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We were both
Sophomores,
16 years old,
just
getting ready to become a junior in high
junior
school.
in high school.
Nice. Going to church together and all that. Eric
Going to
takes
Yeah.
the leap and
every
makes a phone call.
Tuesday.
Did that change anything in your relationship from that point?
Yeah. So that a great question. So yes, it did, because it's like at that point, then what happened is we basically not long after that started talking almost every day.
Hmm.
So I worked at a local restaurant, and I was a cook, and because I was the late shift, I would close. So I'd have to clean the grill and the kitchen and all that stuff. And so I would literally call her at 8:30 when everyone was out of the restaurant and I was starting my cleanup, and on a 25-foot, curly Q cord, I'm walking around the restaurant like this.
Yeah. Oh,
Probably why
yeah.
I have problems with my with my neck. But for, a good hour and a half every night, every night that I worked, talking to her on the phone and kind of sharing about our day. And she's, asking her about her day and how things were going. And, um, and yeah, and it's, we only went to youth group together. She went to a different church on Sundays than I did.
We were at different high
And
schools
we were at
too.
different high schools too. So
Oh, okay.
she went to Nina, I went to Appleton West, and some would say the better school. And so um
I don't know them, but anyway.
some
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah.
um uh and so yeah, so pretty much right away Patty let me know I'm in the friend zone.
Yeah. It was interesting because, at that point in my life, just turning 16, I had decided, I was going to wait till I turned 16 to date. And But, like, at that point, he wasn't someone that I saw as someone I'd be interested in dating. And so I had my eyes on some other guys that I was interested in, but he was the one that I could talk to. And he was the one who wanted to talk to me. And so from July all the way through February, like for 7 months, he did become the person that it was like, I would go to school during the day and I would think about like, oh, I can't wait till Eric to call me so that I can talk to him and tell him about my day. And so it was like he was the one that I wanted to talk to and I cared about and I knew who cared about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's special, especially at that young. You don't see a lot of people who are grown men and women have that type of relationship. So that's pretty
No.
encouraging. Oh,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. And so it was like it was tense because like he said, he wanted more than a friendship a lot sooner than I did. You
Yeah.
know, it was like he bought me flowers for sweetest day, but then let me know. I know that we're just friends, and stuff. But like he was very open about caring for something more. And so
Yeah.
it became a point where there was a guy who kind of expressed interest in me. He was older. And so I kind of got swept off my feet a little bit from him. And, but really quickly, like even a couple days later when, like he kissed me. And so it was like, ooh, my first kiss, and so, but it was one of those things where a friend of ours from youth group actually warned me a couple days later saying, hey, just so you know, he's kind of a player. He's been with all the girls in the youth group. And so I actually owe her a lot for giving me that warning because then it helped me to kind of draw a line. Like he called me one time during that first week and we had nothing to talk about. So we talk about like the side by side experiences.
yeah.
And so it's like up to that point, I had been like committed to keeping Eric as a friend. But when I got my first experience of someone who like kind of went towards dating without really even taking the time to get to know me and wanting to get to know me, as soon as I drew a line like, hey, let's just slow things down and let's like get to know each other, like he just stopped talking to me.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it was this major side by side and I feel like God just like helped me to like see like, what do you want? Do you want to keep playing around with these other guys that and just keep trying? Or are you willing to consider and see who you have
Yeah.
already? And so it was like the following week where I made the decision that it's like, okay, I'm really scared because I feel like if as soon as I say yes, like we're going to be together for the rest of our life because that's how strongly I knew he cared about me. And so it was like 16 years old, kind of making this decision that, okay, I'll say yes to dating you. And that's how it started.
Yeah.
I just reached out and held his hand one night. And then
Yeah.
we were walking to a bowling alley with a group of friends and I was all in my head. This is all me thinking. He had no idea what was going on in my head.
Mhm.
Right.
And so then all of a sudden we're walking to the bowling alley and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to like let him know. And I just reach out and hold his hand and it wasn't until that night he's like, so what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was enough of a signal for Eric to be like, okay, something's different. I need
Something
I
is.
need I need more information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's funny is, Joel, is that, you know, that time of becoming best friends,
Mm,
really now I cherish that. Like as much as she's like, as much as I remember being in angst, just like, come on already. But it was like as the time went on, it was like Patty said, I knew when something big happened in my life, she was the one I wanted to tell. Like she was the first person I wanted to tell. And so the week before she decided to hold my hand, she'd actually made the decision a week before that, and we had this like whole date night with a big, group of couples. Um, we were kind of one of the non-couples, but it
yeah.
was like, so just a group of us that went up for Valentine's Day in 1992. and we all ended up at her house afterwards, and we were watching a movie. And normally, like, if we were in a room with each other, I had to try and strategically figure out how could I get the seat next to her. And at
Yeah.
this point, because she had told me about this guy, I
Mm.
figured I was out. It was done. So I had stopped doing all of that. It was like, all right, we're just friends. I knew, it hurt, but it was like, but she's still my best friend. Like, that's
Mm.
not
Yeah.
going to change. So I was like, but so I'd gone to the bathroom. They were getting ready to start the movie, and everyone was sitting down, and there was just the seat next to Patty open. And I'm like, sweet, oblivious. Okay.
Yeah.
And so sat next to Patty, and she was waiting for me to make a move, but I was like, I'm not gonna. I didn't know
Yeah,
that
which
this
is
thing
so
had ended.
awesome.
So that's why the following week, when we were at this birthday party walking to the, you know, bowling alley, and she grabbed my hand, it was like, I think
Struck
this
by
might be the
lightning.
first best day of my life.
Yeah, man. Lightning strikes in that moment.
Yes, yes. And so then when, I brought her home, and we almost always hugged when I would drop her off at home. I'd walk her to the door and, give her a hug. And then that night she gave me the most awkward kiss. It was like kind of half on, half off kind of a thing.
Even after all the practice she had with that other
Yeah.
bull.
Oh, so
It's so
awkward.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, wait, so what's going on? Are we boyfriend and girlfriend now, or what's happening? And so then she was like,
Yeah.
yes, I wanna be your girlfriend. And so it was like, probably for the next 3 or 4 days, I don't think my feet touched the ground. I was like
Oh,
so
Mm.
so happy, and so like, and yeah, and so that kind of started the dating years, from essentially 92 to our engagement. And yeah, it was just that it's like we didn't have a lot of understanding about how to date.
None.
So unfortunately, things got serious real fast because you know, we we didn't have a whole lot of people to talk to. We were very independent, kind of isolated, and, didn't have a lot of strong understanding of the physical, how to handle the physical, other than all of the don'ts that typically get in, the traditional churches back in the day. And so it's like, we didn't have any do steps either, which we now know is extremely important.
yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, so there were some ups and downs,
So unfortunately, it sounds like I mean, what's the advice you would give to yourselves if you could go back in that moment?
Ugh. I
man.
love that because it's that actually is one of these areas that I feel like I can share now and I'm happy to share, but that started the isolating for us
Mm,
because I had so much guilt and like shame because I knew what I was supposed to do or at least not do. And it's like, my advice would be to find people that you can trust, that you can talk to and share your struggles with, share your dating experiences, share your attractions, share with openly, who will hear you well and be able to like, yeah, give you counsel, give you
yeah.
wise counsel. Because
Yeah,
we just didn't have that. I think there were people in our life who cared, but we were such of the tradition that we don't talk about these things
right.
that that started as much as we had this great start of being best friends, that entering into the dating and then engagement laid, unfortunately, a foundation of just isolating and not sharing and trying to hide
Yeah,
the
because
things that were wrong.
yeah,
Yeah.
'cause we
Okay.
just we felt so guilty for the
Mhm.
things that we were doing. And
Yeah.
I would say, Joel, that what I would say now to 17-year-old Eric is I would
Mm.
teach him about the levels of intimacy.
Mm.
Cool.
And I would tell him that, number one, work to reach Patty through words.
Mm.
Use your words. If you can't reach her through your words, we shouldn't be doing anything through touch.
Mm.
And then it's whatever is the level of your intimacy with your words and with the relationship, that's the level of touch. So it's like
Mm.
if we're just at connection or relationship, then that's the level of touch that we should be at.
Mhm.
And so it's like I don't go and meet someone at the grocery store saying, "Hey," and then reach out and try to hold their hand with, it's like that's not a thing. It's not that level of
Right.
touch doesn't match
Yeah.
interaction or connection. It's like
Right.
not.
Yeah.
So I think that and again, I would also give Eric and Patty, young Eric and Patty, that same advice that Patty just said. Who's a marriage or a relationship that you would want to replicate and talk to them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, that's amazing. I think that's great advice for everybody. Um, I also just can't help but think like it sounds like things change. You said you got serious really fast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once you started dating, and then of course once you get engaged, it's a whole other level.
right.
Man, it's like, did the focus on just getting to know each other and being best friends, did that get like kind of lost in the wayside?
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually get emotional about that.
Yeah.
Um, because we had such a great friendship. Like he was absolutely the safest place for me and the safest person for me. And when we added dating and this like the touching into it, it just made it more than I knew how to handle, and so then I started limiting my sharing because then I
Oh,
worried about hurting him. I worried about, well, I don't want him to feel bad, and I think I started becoming less myself around him
oh,
in order to try to protect this dating, this level of intimacy that we're supposed to have, but it became a lot of pressure. And so I've kind of started shrinking.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Oh,
So I feel sad about that now, knowing where we're at now.
yeah.
It's
yeah.
like, oh, I wish we knew
Yeah.
Yeah.
then how to keep growing and being more ourselves.
And to
Well,
never lose that. Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it's like, thinking about this is the fact that it's like when we started dating, it was almost like there was this expectation now.
Mm,
When we're just friends, there's this boundary. It's the hug, it's a high five, it's
hmm.
and it's a quick hug.
Yeah.
It's a friendship hug.
Yeah, because she
When it
doesn't want to date you. Of
right,
course,
Yeah.
right,
it'd be weird if you held on longer than you as long as you wanted to, right?
right.
Yeah.
And then when the dating, it was like because we had this list of don'ts, that means we should be able to do everything else, right? And so then it
Mm,
becomes this expectation of, okay, why aren't we doing these other things? And then that became this extra thought for me, where it was like, okay, when we would hang out, talk, 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 but when do we get to the kiss, kiss, kiss? And it's like, and that sucked really. And so there would be these ups and downs where we would catch ourselves finally and go, we haven't been like, let's pray again. Cause we did a lot of praying together
yeah.
when we were friends. It's like, okay, let's just pray. Let's just talk and pray. And it was like, holy cow, we gotta, what I would say now is a crap ton of energy. And it's like, and so then that would carry us for maybe even a week or so. And then it was like, hey, now that we're doing really good, let's go back to the kissing. And then
Yeah.
down it goes. So it's
Yeah.
like, didn't have that understanding of cause and effect of
Yeah.
the intimacy and
Yeah.
And
what
what really drives it so that it's just a steady plane doing that, right?
Right.
yes.
Right. And yeah, yeah, that's such a great example because it's like it became so much about feelings then.
Yes.
Feelings drove our decision and I was so afraid of like causing pain and what he would feel and stuff that it just I used to when we were friends before we started dating, I would confront him and I would challenge him and stuff. And but then
Yeah.
when it got to dating, then it was like, well, I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to, so I didn't do the same things that I did as his friend as I did when I became his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And we think we're protecting the relationship when we do that, but really we're just weakening it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
100%.
making it more fragile.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. So what's the move towards like engagement then? Is this like a move to try to get the spark back, or is it like, or
Nice.
is it because this is the next step? Like what, from dating to engagement, how'd that happen?
Nice.
Yeah, I would say it was, we had talked about it, and again, keeping in mind, like as we were putting together our notes for this, it's like remembering that, Joel, we're 17, 18 years old making these decisions.
For like life?
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. So like, is that part of what you mean by we got serious really fast? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like, we started dating February of 92, and within a year, we were at a jewelry store picking out rings. And then December of
Yeah.
December 24th, Christmas Eve of 1993, we graduated in, spring, right? Or
Yep.
yeah, June of 93. So we both went to college together, at UW Whitewater. She got accepted first, which is what caused me to apply.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
wanted to go to school with her.
Yeah.
Really, I just wanted to be with Patty. I didn't want to go to school. I was done. I just wanted to work. But so I went to school with Patty, and um things like physically got pretty serious there. And that's when I was like, I feel like God got a hold of us and was like, look, you know, I got burnt out on school, and God was like moving me to go, maybe you need to go to school in Minneapolis where there's this Bible school. Some of our high school friends were there. And it was like, it was getting scary. I felt like if I had stayed with Patty any longer, we would have had babies sooner than we did. So,
Yeah.
so
So what happened?
Yeah.
You were going to school together and then
right.
you,
So during that semester at UW Whitewater, we started to we had what I would call like a come to Jesus, where it's like, meeting or whatever, was like, look,
yeah.
we can't keep, this is going to go bad if we keep doing
And
this.
again, we weren't sharing with anybody. There was nobody. We were trying to deal with this just by
On our own.
ourselves.
So Patty was like, this isn't good. I want to focus on my studies. You want to focus on me. It's like, and so I'm like,
So
yeah,
that's something that's never changed.
right. Exactly.
Eric has always been just like
Yeah,
locked in,
I
right?
know.
Uh-huh.
So, I, contacted that school. It was one of the schools that I was accepted at. And so they said, yeah, you can still come in for second semester. So I was like, okay, but I wanted to lock her in. I was afraid that if I moved 5 hours away, that I would lose her.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that December, that Christmas Eve, in front of her family, I got down on one knee at 18 years old, the ripe old age of 18, and, asked Patty to marry me. She said yes. And a week later, my parents were bringing me to Minneapolis, 5 hours away,
Wow.
uh, to, yeah, go to school. It ended up not working out. And actually, what was kind of funny, I was trying to be a little bit devious because I wanted to come home. Like when I found out I couldn't afford school, so it's like it was falling apart. And I either had to find an apartment and live in Minneapolis, or I needed to come home. And so I thought, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call my mom, and I'm going to call my fiance, two people who, if anyone's going to tell me to come home, it's these two. So I told them what was going on, called them both, told them what was going on, and then they each separately called me back because they said they're going to pray about it. Each of them separately called me back saying, we think God wants you to stay in Minneapolis. I'm like, you
Oh,
have got to be kidding me right now.
I should have called dad.
Which is funny
Oh,
because he probably would have said, "What did your mom say?"
Yeah,
oh yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So they
Yeah.
were, but that's incredible though. Patty and your mom were synced up, huh?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's where it's like I do look back and it's like I'm proud of some of the decisions that we made, and I do see that we were trying to follow God in a lot of ways and just lacked wisdom, but
And
when we leaned in, our decisions were like, okay, God, what do you want? And so to be able to have the strength to say, no, I think there's a reason why you're in Minneapolis. It might not have been the reason why you thought you were there, but there's a reason. And I have faith that God can bring something good from this. And plus, kind of selfishly, it's like, because I want to focus on what I want to do and I need some space.
you're great, but 5 hours away is perfect.
I need to study.
Yeah,
Yeah. All
good things
right.
you did too.
Yeah. So that led to a 2.5 year engagement.
All long distance.
Hmm.
The whole
I-
two and
the
a half 2.5 years you lived over 5 hours away.
So how it went was originally, so we got engaged in December of 93. My plan was to wait till I graduated from college
Right.
to get married. So we originally set a date of 1998 to get married. So originally it was 5 hours away because I went to school in Whitewater, but then I transferred to Eau Claire.
Okay.
So then we were still hour and a half to 2 hours away.
hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Yep. We could get it down to hour and a half. Yep. Um, but yeah, we lived separately. We lived in separate states the whole engagement.
Wow.
So I think it was tough, but I think that was the best for us because I needed to be able to focus on my studies. And that's actually during the time when he got connected to the church out in Minneapolis.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. There was this. It was kind of cool. A high school friend of ours came to visit. She let me know, "Hey, I'm visiting. You want to meet up?" So we did, and she's like, "Hey, I'm actually meeting up with this group of people that she had done this program with. Some uh like
Bible
ministry
training.
program, Bible training program, and they're actually starting a church by you. So yeah, love to introduce you all." So she did, and met up with this group of people. They were basically starting a vineyard church for Generation X. It was those of us who were in our 20s and early 30s, and it was like, you have this young adult. Some churches make a young adult ministry. This group started their own church,
Hmm.
and
Wow.
yeah, and so that kind of became the community that I got connected with. And yeah, actually, I was just talking with some friends of ours earlier, where it's like I used to complain. It's like now I realize, no, I owe these people a
Yeah.
lot, because for the first year and a half that I lived in Minnesota, like I was literally on my own for the first
Yeah.
year that I lived there, from
That's rough.
January to December. Yeah. So, um, so yeah, so catching up with them, meeting up and having a lot of people that are again in that same age group. A lot of them were also, several couples were also engaged and getting ready. Um, and at that stage of life. So that was really fun. And um, so yeah, so that was 94, 95, and then 95. What I would say is, we got married in God's eyes on New Year's Eve 1995.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then we got married in front of our friends and family on August 17th of 1996.
2 years before you had set a date.
Right.
Yeah, because originally, like I said, we were gonna get married in 98, but it's like I think some of the things that happened was we getting connected with this community. We had this project that we were able to start working on together that we both cared about, and it was and we became a part of this young adult community where we were creating something together, and it was like really attractive working with him to be able to do this and be a part of this community. And I just felt like even though I was still in college at the time, it's like I could really see like this is someone I want to like be married to. I want to spend life with. And it was getting really hard to live separately. I mean, it had been 2.5 years of our engagement. It's like I'm sick of feeling like I don't have a home. Like as a college student, either I was like going to my parents' place to visit, living in the dorm room, which is temporary, or visiting Eric. It's like I'm sick of having just visiting places for 2.5 years. It's like I was felt
Yeah.
home with Eric.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
wanted to be home.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
while like my plan logically was to wait till I graduated from college, it's like, God, I want to be with him. And so it's like when we had this amazing night where we actually did, it's like originally did become married before God. It was like traditionally there was a lot of guilt and shame around it because it's like premarital sex,
Yeah.
and it's like so, but learning and understanding what actually spiritually happened that night,
Yeah.
I've been able to now have such a positive emotion around it and be like, yeah, that makes sense. We were one and we wanted to be one and we made an agreement that night. And so it makes sense that from that night, we're like, I don't want to wait. We felt such then a pull towards being together even more
Yeah.
that it's like, yeah, let's just make this like official so that we can start our life together. So
Yeah.
it required me to make some changes with my plan for college and stuff, but it just it was amazing to be able to
Yeah.
start our life together in 1996.
Yeah. So then what happened with what was the change in your plan, Patty?
Yeah, so I went then from like going to college at Eau Claire, which I was on the path to become a teacher. Didn't really want to be a teacher, but it was something that was safe, something that was traditional. Like, yeah, I can be a teacher. And then I went when we got married. He was living in Minnesota. Our life was in Minnesota. Our church was in Minnesota. So then I transferred a second time to finish up my college at University of Minnesota, Twin Cities.
A lot
But
of people go to 3 schools for their undergrad,
yeah.
right? Right, Dr. J?
Yeah, they're called doctors. No.
Yeah, exactly,
Yes,
exactly. There you
Tommy.
go.
Yeah, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Yeah, I know. They're called doctors.
Yeah. So, but what was interesting was then I transfer to University of Minnesota and I find out that they don't have an undergraduate teaching program. You have to graduate, get your bachelor's, and if you want to become a teacher at that point, it was a graduate degree program. You had to go to pursue your master's. So that changed my whole
Yeah.
trajectory of the career path that I was on. But I actually am so thankful, and I actually feel like that was God intervening again, because when I got there, we got married, like I said, in 1996, August of 1996. And then my degree was in Spanish because that was the degree I was going to become like a Spanish teacher or teaching English as a second language. So my major was Spanish. I minored in linguistics. But by then I was so burnt out on language. I'm like, I've got to find something else to do. Well, then that starts like the next chapter of our life where a couple months into getting married, I get pregnant. And so it's like
Okay.
that also
Yeah.
like changes my plan.
We
Yeah.
were 21, so we thought it through.
Yeah.
And actually, real quick, Joel, also in kind of part of the answer to your question on what changed Patty's plan, I want to remember and I want to like give a shout out to Patty's dad, who, after we had, the event on the 31st where it was like, again, it was considered premarital sex. We felt guilty, so we called our parents and shared with them what happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
I told Eric, I said, I want to tell my parents what happened. I want them to know.
Yeah.
And they were amazing actually in
Yeah.
here.
They were amazing, and Patty's dad right away was just like, "So then why are you guys waiting to get married?
Mhm.
Why not
Wow.
get married sooner?" And it was like, "Alright."
Holy
So
cow.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like we owe him a lot for that, where it's like, that was great advice,
Yeah.
I think.
Especially with all the undeserved guilt you guys were feeling. It's nice to have somebody who's, maybe helping you guys feel a little bit more settled with what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually it was funny
Yeah.
because
Now I laugh because at the time, we didn't know it was undeserved.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So now it's like, yeah, I laugh, but then I realize, "Oh, wait, you're not joking, like, that was" yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like I do I it's a positive emotion how my parents handled it. Because like, I'm like, "All right, I wanna let them know I respect them enough to be able to share with them," and they both, like I said, handled it well. My dad said that, and my mom was actually surprised. She's like, "Wow, I'm actually surprised. I thought that happened maybe a long time ago. Like, I didn't know it only happened then." So it was great to actually be like, again, that reminder, why didn't we share more before?
Yeah.
Like, we were, I think, just holding it in so much that I think I didn't have enough faith in my parents to like actually share more and ask more questions, because when I did share, they handled it so well. And they're
Yeah.
like, why do you want to wait? You don't have to wait. And
Nice.
I thought I needed to wait.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it was awesome.
Yeah. And it was
That's
cool
incredible.
because after we got married and after she moved and stuff, um, and then after we had our son, because like she said, she got pregnant within the first couple months of us getting married. We had a she had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Um, but
Sorry. I didn't know
Yeah.
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, few months later, Patty got pregnant again and with Josiah. And so there was like this time, I can't remember when it was, where you were like questioning, should you or shouldn't you finish school?
Right. Yeah. And that's a little bit later, but
Oh,
I
okay.
want to go back to answer your question as far as like what happened to my career, the path.
Yeah.
There's a lot that happened in these like decisions in these months because, we got married. So I was just planning on continuing my college. I got pregnant. My plan was to wait 5 years before having kids. It ended
Oh my
up being like 3 months that I got pregnant, after we got married. And at first I was like really scared. And I remember like getting ready to go back to college and stuff. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this isn't, my plan. This isn't how I thought it was going to go. And then I remember like going to do that GRE, the entrance exam to the
Yeah.
college to go to Minnesota. And I remember that morning I had the miscarriage. And it's like I remember it happening. And then I'm like, okay, but I gotta go and do this test. This entrance exam.
Wow.
And so it was just like, you know, all right, you just go. And then, but I remember before I had the miscarriage, it was only a couple weeks into it. It was super new into it. But I remember where it was like, I made the decision to embrace it, be like, yep, this isn't my plan, but I'm going to be happy about this. I'm going to be thankful and I'm going to trust that God has a plan for this and that there's good going to be in this. So when we did miscarry, it's like, I was really sad. It was like we grieved it and it happened to be like all in about a week or two. I miscarried. He got into a car accident that totaled our only car. And we had just previously, again, we weren't seeking counsel. We were keeping things to ourselves. We were in a hole financially already due to some decisions already that we had made without counsel. And so, in order to save money, we had um, gotten rid of the full coverage on our one car. So when he, so when he, like,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like so many events happened all at once that when he totaled the car, I had to call my parents and let them know, like, yep, we totaled our car and we have no insurance. We're not going to get any money for it. So that started a series of really unfortunate events and bad decisions because then at that point, because he got injured, he was just new at his job. So then he got laid off at his job. And so because he was still in the probationary period. So within the first 3 months, 4 months of our marriage, we lost our only car. We had a miscarriage. He lost his job, and I wasn't working at the time. And so it's like had lost so much within the
Whoa.
4 months of our marriage.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like a little caretaker at the apartment trying to like help reduce the cost of our rent. So we were lost at that point. We had
Yeah.
no idea how to like get out of that hole
Yeah.
that we were in.
Yeah.
And so what I will say is that I see a lot of good that came from that, but it was really scary at the time. And we didn't know how to reach out for help yet. So we just kept trying to make it work and we still weren't sharing.
Right.
So that ended up with us, a couple months later, I did start back to school, found out I was pregnant with Josiah, our first. And I'm like, well, since I don't know how to be with kids, I'm the baby of the family. I never really liked babysitting. It's like, you know what? Let me add a minor called child psychology so that I can learn how to
Hmm,
interact with babies and kids.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that decision really sent a whole new trajectory that I see preparing me for even what I'm doing today because it was the first time that I was taking classes that I was excited about
Oh,
learning.
really?
It's like, oh my goodness, I get to learn about people. I get to learn how people think, how kids grow and develop, and how to like care for them. It was amazing to be able to do that. And then, yeah, there's a lot of other pieces to our story that, that we were still unfolding at the time. But that's how my trajectory, my career change
Wow.
happened from that decision.
So you
Yeah.
two are still in what at this point, your early 20s?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very early.
21.
Yeah. 21, 22. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Because
so
Josiah was born in 97. So we were 22 when he was born.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so young.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So then what happened now? So you guys are, I mean, going through a lot of trials.
Yep.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot,
I
I
would
mean, what
say,
we can in hindsight, you can look back and see some blessings too, but
Right.
what
yeah,
must
I
that
would
have been
say
like?
the part that got worse as because I went back to school, started a class, and after, took some classes, and then after I went back to class after Josiah was born, that's when I wanted to be done. I'm like, I don't even know how to do this, having a baby and going to school at the same time, and I don't even know how I'm gonna use this degree. So I was feeling stressed, trying to learn how to be a mom and newly married, and there was a lot of stress going on in our life financially,
Right.
recovering from the car accident.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
man.
yeah. So it was like, what do we do? Does she stop school? Whatever. And so the advice, again, just this wisdom from her dad that take time off, but finish school.
Mhm,
Like, you know, you just because you take time off doesn't mean that you have to be done.
mhm.
And so she did. She took that semester off and then restarted in January, right? Of 98.
Yeah,
And so it was great. And it was like, again, owing him forever on that because it was like that if she didn't complete her undergrad, that would not have set up her being able to get her master's, years later, when that ended up, when God brought that into our lives. So yeah, so then 98, she finished school, graduated in January of 99.
did you wanna share about, like, one of the things that happened after we lost the car and lost
Oh,
the job was, again, we weren't seeking counsel, and so we were just trying to survive. So we ended up finding a car, we got a car, but then I was pregnant. I got pregnant and we were living in Minneapolis at the time. So Eric needed the car to go to his job and I was still going to school. So then he became worried about me taking the bus, being pregnant. And so then he's like, yeah, let's get a second car. There's
Okay.
no way we could afford a second car. So, but it's like, okay, well, we'll trust in God. We'll make it work. And so then
Hmm.
we, unfortunately, within a couple months, that car died. The transmission died, the second car that we bought.
Ugh.
So then we didn't have the money to pay for the repairs. And so then it's like, okay, what do we do? Let's buy a third car. I mean, it's just so stupid and
all on
ridiculous.
loans. We had three.
All on.
Oh yeah.
So you still paying for the second car when you don't
Yeah.
have it
Yeah,
anymore?
but we're
Right.
not paying. Yeah, yeah. So totally. Like
Oh,
we were so in the hole and it was just like, just trying to like, we'll have faith. God will work it out,
but
And
then
so,
make a bad decision.
yeah,
Right.
totally. It's
And
like,
say God will help, and then make a bad decision.
right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it just compounded. And so like at that time, my parents and even friends from our church are asking us like, how are you guys doing this? Like, how are you guys affording 3 cars? And we're like, oh no, we're fine. We're fine. Until got snowballed so much that we couldn't hide it anymore. And then we ultimately had to declare bankruptcy. And so that was in May, March of 98.
Yeah.
And so that really, for our marriage, as fast as that went, a year and a half into our marriage, having to declare bankruptcy, it's like that finally was what we needed to be able to say, we need help.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we can't figure this out ourselves. So that was what helped us to start reaching out to our parents, reaching out to and sharing more honestly
Yeah.
with people that we need counsel. We need people who can give us some wisdom rather than just try to hide and feel guilty about the stuff that we were doing.
Yeah. Being
Ooh.
22, 23 years old, walking into bankruptcy court with your brand new wife and your brand new baby son. Yeah, that's
A
a day
wake-up
I'll
call.
never forget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the most, we talk about in our community, you either choose to be humbled or to humble yourself, or you're going to be humiliated. And that was the day that I was humiliated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The way that, you know, Rob, Rob, a friend of ours, the way he helped me put this together, it's like all this time that I spent trying not to look like a loser and ended up having to go into bankruptcy court and do the ultimate, let me prove to you that I'm a loser.
Mm.
It's like, going, yeah, we had credit card debt that was crazy high. We had 3 car loans. And we needed to keep one of the cars. So one of those had to stay off the bankruptcy. It was like all this stuff. And it's like, we're 23 years old. I have no idea half of this stuff. And it's
That's
like,
so young to be married and have a kid and be filing for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. We
Yeah, it
moved.
reminds me, there's a friend of mine that I used to say to him, you try so hard to not be wrong, and you're really bad at it. Because
Oh, it's so good.
you're wrong so much. I said, if you were good at it, I wouldn't even say anything. But you
right.
suck at not being wrong.
Not being wrong.
Just don't even bother. Just
Ah,
do the best you can and respond well. But it's just like, yeah, man, it's that. I love what you said about the humble versus humiliated. That's such a key thing.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Man,
Cool.
holy smokes. Wow. Okay. We're almost an hour in.
Yeah.
I want to have you guys on again and do a part 2.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
thank
cool.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about just like give some final thoughts you have on your first relation part of your relationship, where you're at. You're in the story, we're in bankruptcy court,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
we can schedule another episode and you guys can come on and we can pick up from there. And
Yeah. Oh, man.
so how about to finish then, Eric, thank you for being humble now and sharing what it was like.
Yeah.
I mean, as a man, it's like I'm supposed to be, the provider and the protector of my family. And it's like, it's not just asking help from your parents. It's also going before a judge and
Yeah.
saying, so like to close out here then, Patty, what were you thinking and feeling at that time? And
I was so overwhelmed and scared. It's like I remember having this baby and just feeling like I was just totally in survival mode. And so I felt like yeah, I was humiliated. I was embarrassed and I didn't know the way. And I remember one of the things that God helped me to do is I was crying out to him and I was like, God, how could you let this happen? I was like blaming God, it's like, how could you let this happen? And he just said, you will reap what you sow. God will not be mocked. And it's like, oh, I'm the one who caused this.
Mhm.
And so as humiliated as I was and embarrassed as I was, it was actually a relief for the first time once we made the decision and once we made it known. I finally felt some relief that I could just be honest that
oh,
I'm wrong, that I don't know how to do this.
Nice. Yeah.
uh, yeah, yeah. So like that's the initial blow of humiliation feels so devastating, but then what comes behind it is this relief of like I don't have to hide anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
have to
like
Oh,
the
pretend to have
stress,
my
yeah.
stuff together.
right.
Yep, it was
Oh,
huge. So that's where I was at that point.
thank you
Yep.
for sharing that. Okay, so I tend to do this thing where I say, I have one more thought, and then I have another one after that. So to close
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
for a second time,
Yeah.
I know you're both encouragers, you're exhorters at heart, right?
Mm.
Yes. Yes.
So we're ending the episode part 1 in bankruptcy court.
Yeah.
So clearly your marriage got better, your lives got better. So what's one thing you would share, each of you, just what's one thing you would share with the viewers about your story as where we're at right now to give some hope before they get to watch the part 2?
Yeah, I would say the things that are going on in your life that you feel the most embarrassed about, the most shame about, the most guilt about, I want you to know that there is a way through it to the point where you can one day be happy to share it because it will help other people.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Nice, Patty. Thank you.
Yeah. And I would say, I would echo that. And as much as I wanted to think that there wasn't anyone that knew or could understand what we were going through,
Mm,
that couldn't be further from the truth. So it's like, as hard as it is to reach out, I would encourage people to reach out sooner than later.
mm,
Yeah. And just go, there are people out there that have stories, that have experience and understanding that they can share to help. And it's like, pull on those resources.
Nice.
Even if you feel stupid, even if it feels like, I don't even know if you've had this problem, but, and pull on those resources because I think that's what really would have helped us.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys. And thanks for allowing me to call an audible, and I'm gonna have you back. So expect an
Awesome.
email
Thank
from me
you.
soon. And we can schedule another one of these. This is amazing. You two, your story is so compelling. So I
Mm,
look forward to having you back on the show so we can hear why you're able to give the advice you just gave.
yeah.
So thank you.
Mm,
Thank
nice.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a wonderful night.
All
All
right,
right.
Bye-bye.
you
You
too.
too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you once again to Erik and Patty for being on the show. And I had to call an audible, make an adjustment, and that was just part one because their story's too good to rush. So we're going to have them on again and really dig in to part two, the second half of their story. So let's dig into what we learned today, though, and pull some doctrine and unlock some doctrine out of their story. Right off the bat, what we heard is Patty talking about being excited about sharing this story and how every time she shares it now, and especially when she shares it in a good context, in a way that helps people, she feels even better about the story. Even the ugly stuff, the icky stuff, the stuff that may not sound great. That's the true measure for repair. So we talk a lot about restoration and repair at Music Life Church. Restoration is when you get out of the hole, when essentially whatever went wrong in your life is no longer wrong. Or if instead of being in the negative, you're now at zero, out of the hole, right? Where repair takes that thing that went bad and gets it beyond the hole, and it gets it to better than it was before the damage or the wrong ever even happened. So when you're able to repair between another person over some trauma that may have happened, or in this case, Patty and Erik being able to repair over some of the issues they've had in their marriage, to be able to talk about it now and be happy to talk about it, even and especially those ugly parts, to feel good about it, to feel happy that those things happened because of where you're at today, that's the measure for repair. So the reality is, if I have an issue with somebody and I don't want to talk about that thing, I'm not repaired with that person. I might be restored, but a lot of times what happens is people will hit the reset button or swipe things underneath the rug, right? In hopes that there won't be issues anymore, or in hopes that whatever trauma or discomfort I felt over what went bad, we won't experience again. But there is a way to take that bad and turn it into something better than it was before the bad, to the point you can be happy the bad thing happened in the first place. And that's Patty and Erik. We're going to see more and more of that through the rest of their story, especially part two. So stay tuned. One of the things I wanted to bring up, they talked about how early on they were best friends. Some measures for emotional intimacy. So this is just 7 different things that I've learned. And John and I actually talked about this in the Modeling God podcast in the marriage and marriage applications episode, is the emotional intimacy can be measured by these 7 really fun attributes of a relationship. Well, really fun when you get a decent score. It can also be confronting, especially for people who've been in a relationship for a long time and they're not able to see how they're able to hit these 7 markers. So just think of this. I'm going to go through these 7 and think about the type of relationship this is describing. Number 1, the two let each other be themselves. They desire each other to be who God created them to be. This is quite an important level or attribute of emotional intimacy. But you can see how, like, let's say with Patty and Erik, they want each other to be their uniqueness. I'm not trying to make you into a person I think you should be. I'm trying to help you become more you, because that's the person I want to experience, and vice versa. Number 2, and this is why I thought of going through these 7 in the first place, is because of their beginning relationship being, we're just best friends. Number 2 is see each other as friends. Another way of seeing this is really the couple in this relationship are each other's biggest cheerleaders. They want the best for each other, not just for them as a couple, but for the other person. Never pulling each other down or feeling lesser than because of the successes of another person, right? Of your partner. Being each other's biggest cheerleaders, seeing each other as friends. Number 3, you have been through dark times successfully. That's a key point there. Not just having been through dark times. Everybody's been through dark times. But have you been through dark times successfully? 2 people who have been through dark times successfully can say they have a stronger level of emotional intimacy with one another. Number 4, they have boundaries with each other's family or relatives. This kind of is starting to see how these are tied together, right? This could simply just be, I'm making you the priority. When we're around family and friends, I argue for you and I'm on your team. That's really what it looks like. All right. Number 5, we have difficult conversations. And this would be with each other. Two people who have a deep level of emotional intimacy are able to have difficult conversations with one another. I mean, if you haven't already seen it in Patty and Eric's story, you're going to really start seeing it in part 2, some of the stuff they've gone through and had to discuss with one another. Number 6, have fought and know how to argue with each other without being abusive. So not only difficult conversations, this one gets to the point where they actually know how to argue. They fight with each other, they argue with each other, but in a way where they're not abusive to one another. And number 7, this one's fun. Make fun of each other's quirks. Now, this is definitely two people who know each other well enough to know each other's quirks. John and I laugh about this. I've heard him say it. So really, I laugh about this. Something I've heard John say is really a relationship is about two people who know the other person is weird, but they like that person's weird. And it's like, we all have quirks, right? And most people's quirks are either maybe a 0 to me or some even annoying. But who's that person whose quirks are actually attractive to me? The person whose quirks I find endearing, and the person whose quirks I can make fun of because of those things, because they know I find those things endearing, and vice versa. All right, so these are some really fun levels of intimacy. Erik also talked about the general levels of intimacy and how important those were for him and Patty's marriage and growing in repair. Again, I would look at modeling God's wills for help with that, especially when you're starting to grow in a relationship with somebody that you may be thinking of marriage or something like that, because it will give you the guidelines on what you need to do to intentionally progress in all levels of intimacy with that person. The last thing I want to say, it came through so often in their story: counsel. Patty and Erik, now in hindsight, they can look back and they can say counsel would have been the biggest game changer for us early in our relationship and early in our marriage. So who are you getting counsel from? Who are you getting help from? You can find Patty and Erik both on social media. I know they'd love to hear from you. You can also find more information about them and the community we're a part of at the websites for Music of Life Church Appleton and Music of Life Church Kimberly. I'll put both in the descriptions. You can find information about the restoration process there. And Patty and Erik also team up to train other people in the ways of marriage. So reach out to them if you have any interest in learning more about that stuff. Get after these resources, keep learning from Patty and Erik's journey. Thank you for listening. Keep seeking truth and keep living it out. We'll see you next time.